I can't think of a more appropriate place to talk about the subject of immigration than beneath the white cliffs of Dover, Dover being the gateway to England. This subject of immigration goes right to the heart of the public's disillusion with politics and politicians. It is all about trust. Now, 5 years ago, David Cameron said in his contract with Britain, in his manifesto, that he would reduce immigration into Britain to 1990s levels, i.e. back to tens of thousands a year, not hundreds of thousands a year. Now, I think the public can live with promises being broken. You know, after all, circumstances change and people understand that. But there is a specific problem with that promise that David Cameron made, and indeed with the promises he's still making today, and they're being made by Labour, and they're being made by the Lib Dems, and it's simply this. When Cameron made that promise, he was being willfully dishonest, because he knew the truth, and I think now the British public, 5 years on, know the truth, that you actually cannot have an immigration policy. You can't set targets of any kind at all. You can't attempt to control who comes into Britain, all the while you're members of the European Union. And we're in a political union with total free movement of people, with nearly 500 million people, including 10 former communist countries, in which, in some cases, the minimum wage is a tenth of what it is in this country. Added to that is the Eurozone crisis. Youth unemployment rates in Spain and in Greece at over 50%, and no sign to the end of the crisis. And what I'm really saying is this, that if the public are to be re-engaged with politics, if they are to trust the politicians, then before they even listen to a policy that anybody puts out on immigration, there is a basic truth that has to be accepted, and I very much hope on the debate on Thursday night that I will get it accepted, though I'm sceptical, and that is we cannot control immigration as members of the European Union, and that gets right to the heart, really, of what UKIP is about as a party. We want a different relationship with Europe. We can't see it today. Normally you can actually from here. We want a different relationship, one that is based on trade, but not membership of political union.
Could you just explain to us how the difference between foreign students and why they're not included in your migration figures that you will do?
Because controlled properly.
So there'll be uncontrolled access for foreign students?
No. Because controlled properly, students would come in with visas, with health insurance, and would not be allowed to overstay. You know, students coming, students going as a commercial transaction is not part of immigration per se.
You're attacking the Conservatives' immigration policy. I thought you said you were going to fight this campaign cleanly.
No personal attacks, you know. I mean, I noticed in one of the...
Just attacks on other parties?
I noticed in one of the newspapers at the weekend some rather personal comments about me from the Prime Minister. I will not be returning the compliment. But what I am saying is there is a totally dishonest debate going on around immigration, which is, according to all the opinion polls, the most important issue in the minds of voters, and the other three parties are not telling the truth. Because the truth is, you cannot have an immigration policy if you're a member of the European Union and you have an open door to 10 former communist countries and the struggling Eurozone ones in the Mediterranean.
So if immigration is so important, why isn't it on your pledge card?
Well, you cannot even discuss immigration until first you get back control of your borders. And we're talking about far more than immigration. We're actually talking longer term about a positive policy based on having the Australian-style point system. What's really interesting is nearly 80% of the British people want an Australian-style point system, control of our borders, and a level of immigration where the issue becomes a positive, not a negative.
You said you were saving your best lines for the campaign proper. We're in the campaign proper, but you've announced no new policy today. You've just merely attacked somebody else's.
Well, exposing the willful deceit that has been put on the British public was at the last election, and they're attempting to put on them again this time, I think is a very good starting place. We have the debates coming up tomorrow, and I really want an honest conversation with the other three party leaders tomorrow night. Will they come clean that they don't have an immigration policy because they're wedded to membership of the European Union? That's what I want to know. 2
points briefly. What do you think about the lineup for the debates on Thursday?
What the positioning? I'm disappointed that Mr Cameron is so far away from me, but we'll make the best of it.
Are you disappointed he's so far right?
Well, is he far right or far left? I'm not sure.
What size of podium will you choose? I hear you're going to get offered a choice.
Am I? Well, I didn't. You have the advantage of me.
Just lastly, on GDP, we've seen the figures out today, improved growth. The Tories have done well on that, haven't they?
Well, yes. I mean, look, if you max out your credit card every month, right, your lifestyle will improve. That was no question. But at some point in time, you have to pay the bill back. We have growth in the economy, but we've done it through massive year-on-year budget deficit financing. And the real elephant in the room economically in this election campaign that no one's really talking about is in 5 years of this coalition government, they have doubled the size of our national debt. It's not surprising.